All right. So thank you to the folks who are here. This is the, hello, Judith. We're here for the fiscal year 2023 local arts program, also known as LAP, as you all know, the Americans with Disabilities Act webinar. We have a separate portion of the application, the ADA, or like I said, Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA portion of the application, and it's important. So we it's very important. So we break it up, and we're here now. And before we go any further, I'm going to toss it over to Gina Hewlings, who's the director of the Hudson County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs / Tourism Development, and she'll kick it off, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all so much for being here, and appreciate everyone who attended Joe's famous How to Apply LAP webinar last week. Was that last week, Joe?
It was last week. Hard to believe.
Yes. So we're coming into the finish line here, a couple more weeks with the application. But I just wanted to welcome you all and to thank you for being here, and just to highlight a couple things, changes that we've made to the application that are pretty critical when you're going through. And Joe will again go over them in detail. But just a heads up that the application, the ADA portion of the application and the questions will constitute 15% of your total LAP score. So something to keep in mind while you're filling that out. I mean, it's very important. Really what we're looking for is for everybody to put some thought into this process, to put a little bit more emphasis on their budget, their ADA plan and their budget, and to make sure that it coincides with your programming and facilities. And then another very important piece to this is that we will be implementing site evaluations. I know that that's something we've basically had within the application for several years, but now we've partnered up with the New Jersey Theater Alliance, and Executive Director John McEwen will be spearheading these site evaluations. So 10 to 12 organizations that apply for our LAP program this year will be selected to go through basically an audit and site evaluation with John and our staff here. And really it's just to provide feedback, to provide information, to get folks where they need to be, and for us to be able to help in any way we can with that area. So again, that's it for me. Thank you all for being here. I don't want to keep you too long, and kick it back to Joe. Take care.
Thanks, Gina. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I think Gina makes a really good point, and it's one I'll probably repeat several times. But we, for those of you who, I think pretty much, I don't know if all of you have applied for LAP before, but I know some of you have. And what I would ask is that put yourself in the shoes of someone if you were yourself who had a disability and wanted to attend an art gallery or a art gallery opening or a performance, and think about how you want to be treated when you were going to one of those events. So we know that it's like in Hudson County, and we talked about this some last week during the when we talked about the application, that it's less than ideal in terms of where you all can present your programming, because we're a very tightly packed county. There's not a lot of theaters, empty theaters sitting around for you to do your to present your programming. So we know that it's kind of catch as catch can when that could be, and that these places are sometimes less than ideal. So we're not asking for perfection. I think what the point is what we're asking for is thoughtfulness, that you've taken time to, with your plan, and that you answer the questions thoughtfully. So with that, I think we will, I have a PowerPoint presentation that we can go through, and then we can go through we can look at the application itself with the ADA portion of the application. We can look at the ADA, we can look at the ADA chart as well. So I would say if you have like questions that are, when we go through everything, if you have questions that are germane to what we're talking about, then I'll probably say, okay, we're going to move on to something else if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can hold them to the end. But just when I ask you don't have to put the hand up in Zoom or whatever. Just when I say, do you have any questions, you can just pipe in and say that, ask me whatever question you have. So with that, I'm going to share the screen and we will start it up. So yes, welcome. We're here for the 2023 Local Arts Program ADA Zoom webinar, which you all know. Just helpful information. Gina's here. She was on the line. That's her email address. That's me. You have my email address. Our phone number at the office is 201-459-2070. And if you ever got an email from me, you got my cell phone too. I would ask is that you don't abuse your privileges, but if you need to get me, you know where to get me. With that said, let's move on. Yeah, keep yourself on mute unless you're going to talk. You can forget what I said about that. That says save your questions. Like you just went through how I like to do it. And if you have your guidelines, on hand, that's a good thing to have with you. And if you've been a past applicant and you have your ADA plan handy, that's also good to have. All right. So housekeeping. Our office, Hudson County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs / Tourism Development, require all 2023 applicants that their applications have a full 3-year ADA plan. The only exception to that rule is if you were just applying for technical assistance, you wouldn't have to do a plan. But if you're applying for general operating support or program support, which pretty much everybody on this call will probably be most of you will be applying for program support. Some of you who've been or returned who are have applied in the past and have discussed it with us, of course, may be applying for general operating support. Prior applicants, the point here is to review your prior 3-year plan, see if things that were supposed to have been accomplished have been accomplished, then look forward to what you need to do going forward. And as Gina said, the ADA plan is worth 15% of your total score, so it's important. We may make it 15% because to demonstrate how important it is in the process and to us in funding your organization or your programs. Probably most of you or all of you have heard of the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. It was enacted in 1990. President George H.W. Bush signed the law into effect, and it was amended in 2008. And I'll just read this off. The ADA is one of America's most comprehensive pieces of civil rights legislation that prohibits discrimination and guarantees that people with disabilities have the same opportunities as everyone else to participate in the mainstream of American life, to enjoy employment opportunities, to purchase goods and services, and to participate in state and local government programs and services. Modeled after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, the ADA is an equal opportunity law for people with disabilities. So it's actually hard to fathom that this did not always exist, but it didn't. It came into existence in 1990. And it's really one of the most monumental, I'd say, pieces of legislation that's ever been passed in our country. Let's move on to the next. This pertains to folks that are FY22 LAP recipients that are applying. They're going to be applying again for FY23 LAP grant, and I see definitely some of you are on this call. So yes, last year you submitted a plan. So for this year, we want to know where you are in your 3-year plan. You must update your ADA plan for 23, 24, and 25. And we talked a little bit last week about a final report that most likely in it's usually in the middle of January that you'll be submitting to us, and we will be asking you to submit photos and documentation of your ADA compliance with your final report. And yeah, this is a requirement of New Jersey State Council on the Arts for all re-grantees. I just want to go back for a second, actually, to something Gina talked about having the New Jersey, our alliance with the New Jersey Theater Alliance that will be evaluating some of your plans. So the way we've done in the past is, these get scored, and the folks, the organizations who score on the lower end of ADA, those are the people that we will be contacting and setting up with John McKeon, who's the head of the New Jersey Theater Alliance, to kind of go over your plans and see how you can improve. I just want to stress that none of this is meant to be punitive. It's only, it's all about making your programming, which you guys do awesome programming, to make your programming available to as many people as possible. That's the sole purpose behind this. New applicants, new applicant is required to provide an ADA plan for your organization if you're applying for general operating support or program support. Applicants who do not submit an ADA organizational plan will not be considered for funding. So if you do not submit it, you will either not get any funding or you'll be severely penalized. Keep in mind that it's 15% of your application. A LAP grant recipient that gives false or misleading statements may forfeit its entire grant award and will be excluded from future participation in the program. We've never had this happen, but it's just everyone should know what's out there. Yeah, that's that. ADA. So we'll go through this, but there's the thing I was going to say is, so there's a main. You have the ADA plan, which is the chart, which we'll go through. But you also have the questions, and the questions are as important as the chart. So there's a main accessibility question. It's actually, it says new there because it's actually, I changed the question a little bit from last year and made it a little more open-ended. But the question is this: describe in detail your organization's accessibility plan. How was it developed? When was the last time your ADA plan was reviewed, updated, and approved by your board? Explain how your organization's programming content is made accessible, allowing for greater participation by special needs audiences or visitors. So it's pretty open-ended, and it'll give you an opportunity to answer the question. I believe, and we'll look when we go in the application. It's over 3,000. I believe it's 4,500 characters, which is including spaces, which is a lot of space. Excuse me. So that's the question. That's the main question that you're going to be asked to answer. There's also a series of new questions on the application, and this is a new question, an open-ended question. How can you assure that the facility or facilities you use are ADA accessible? Has your organization, a qualified architect, or the facility owner conducted a comprehensive study of the facility considering multiple aspects of accessibility? Even if your organization does not have its own facility, which that's many of you, how have you addressed accessibility at the facilities you use? If the facility you will use is not currently ADA accessible, please list reasonable accommodations and a plan to make it accessible in a reasonable time frame. And that kind of goes along with the ADA plan. Just like like in the LAP application, there's a budget and there's a budget narrative. This is sort of the same thing. Like I say about the budget and the budget narrative, the budget is like the skeleton, and then in which you list your expenses and your income, and the ADA, the budget question is kind of like putting meat on the bones. Well, this is kind of the same thing. You're going to be filling out the chart, which is, is not really, it's not a narrative, it's a chart. And then this question and the question prior are kind of like you're filling it out and putting the you're putting meat on the bone. So let me just omit the other two people who are waiting to get in. And that's that. So, so there's other new questions on the in the ADA section of the application. There's a question on digital accessibility, and there's a question on ADA budgeting. And I didn't print them. I didn't put them in here because you'll see them. We'll go through the application. You can actually see them. But there's other questions which I did put on this PowerPoint. There's a question, and these are yes or no questions. Does your organization have a board-approved policy that states it will not discriminate in the engagement for services against potential staff, volunteers, artists, or others due to a disability? It's a yes or no question. Sensitivity training, do you have or will personnel having contact with the public in conjunction with this project or activities be provided with appropriate information and training in disability awareness and service to audience with disabilities? Yes or no. Grievance procedure. Does your organization have a procedure for addressing grievances or complaints regarding accessibility for people with disabilities? So these are yes or no questions. So obviously you can answer them yes or no. We ask people to answer them truthfully, but I guess the point being here is if you don't have these things, these are things you should definitely employ. You should definitely be thinking about and doing. And then the last thing in that new thing in the application is there's an ADA checklist, and we'll go through it. And it just asks you if it goes through. It talks about different modalities that allow enhanced access to your programming or to your organization, and we'll go through that shortly. Areas to be included in your ADA plan. You need to, and this is not just for ADA. It's also, it's also part of the application. You need to list your board of directors. This kind of goes back to what I just said. ADA organizational plan should be submitted in the combined narrative and chart form. The name of the organization should be at the top page of each page of the plan. You'll see it's 3 pages long, and there's an opportunity for you to put your information in there. And you must use the chart provided in the application. And we'll see in a second or in a little bit, but I'm happy to report that we have a new and improved chart that's fill-outable. There's no glitches that I'm aware of, and it's really user-friendly. I know in the past it's been like less than ideal. This is terrific. It's much improved, and you'll see that it's really easy to fill out. One of my little pooches is here, and she's whining. So say hi to Maxine, everybody. Areas to be included in your plan. Areas that must be addressed in all ADA organizational plans and submitted with your FY23 LAP grant application must include board of directors resolutions regarding ADA policy, appointment of an ADA compliance officer, a grievance policy, a facility analysis and plans for compliance, outreach both for audience and artistic engagement, any publications that you have regarding ADA and neighborhood accessibility. And you'll see in the chart, it addresses all these things. So where to start? You really need to start with an assessment and evaluation of what your organization is currently doing. And on the last page of this, I'll show you there's a really good resource if you've never done an ADA plan before. There's a really good resource for that on the New Jersey Theater Alliance website. And so really you need to first, before you jump into doing anything, you need to assess what it is you need to do. So you need to first assess and evaluate what your current what's the word I'm looking for, actions are regarding ADA. The goal is universal accommodation, but we know that we're living in an imperfect world, so we know that's not going to be possible in a lot of cases, but the key is to do the best you can do. All printed materials supporting and promoting your program should clearly indicate ADA accessibility for the site. Organizations can require prior notice to an event or program. The special accommodation for a patron is required. Local organizations such as HIP of Hudson County should be part of your outreach for promoting your programming. So this is a really cool, it's a great organization. If you want to expose your programming to a wider swath of people, you can share it with them, and you can greater ensure that people with disabilities are enjoying your programming. So I just want to go back to that one point that said organizations can require prior notice, because we know we don't expect you to print up like 100 large print programs for your performance if there's a possibility that no one is going to use them. It's not cost effective to do that. So you can require, you can ask people to get in touch with you. The key is that they have to know that you can accommodate them. So you should, when you advertise your programming, you should say, like, if you have a special need, and we can talk about we'll talk about the different modalities or different tools that are available, that they're available, and that you will make them available for them if they want to come to your event. Scope of your plan, careful thought and analysis of your facilities, as well as your programming and plans for outreach. Plans will vary in length depending on the mission, size, and scope of your organization. An ADA organizational plan should describe your accomplishments and outline any future goals and objectives for making your facilities, programs, and services acceptable to persons with disabilities. Groups that do not own their own spaces / facilities, that don't own their space, groups that do not own their own spaces, the facilities are still required to comply with ADA accessibility issues in their program facilities. So that's kind of going back to what I've said about 3 times now. Most of you don't own your own facilities, but that doesn't mean that you should not try to make them as accessible as possible to people with disabilities. Plans must show areas of compliance, goals, objectives, and dates for accomplishing goals. This is just repeating. Your ADA plan is worth 15% of your total lab score. Your plan must have photo documentation of the site and program accessibility. Prior grantees' ADA plans will become part of the re-grantees file, but new plans should be resubmitted with the current year's application, highlighting any progress made. And the the ADA plan template can be found in the application in the documents to be provided by applicant section. So it's you can't miss it. It's in real big. The link is really big. I made it a lot bigger, so it'll be easy to find. And this is what the first page of the chart looks like, but I'll skip over that, and we'll actually look at the chart. And lastly, a self-assessment tool, this is what I was talking about, has been developed by the New Jersey Arts Access Task Force and is available on the New Jersey State Council on the Arts website, which is njartscouncil.org, or by calling NJSCA, and there's the phone number. So yeah, self-assessment is like really where you have to start with things, like I said. A helpful ADA organizational plan outline is available on the New Jersey Theater Alliance's website. There's the website, and you just go to the Access Task Force page and see the plan outline. And then lastly, this is more like this is not something that deals directly with your plan, but it's something that I found this publication, and it's really, if you want to just learn more about disability and how to talk to people with disabilities and what people with disabilities think, there's a great pamphlet. It's called Disability Etiquette. It's published by the United Spinal Association, and the website is there. What I can do is I can send this around when I will be sending around tomorrow an email with the links to this webinar, as well as the webinar we did last week on the LAP application itself. So I can send this around, and so that if you want to use these resources, which I recommend that you do. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions? I think I gave the ability to everyone to unmute themselves. Any questions right now before we go? We'll take a look at the chart, and then we'll take a look at the application. Any questions? Yes, Judith. Can you I can't hear you. Hold on one second. Can't hear you. Are you?
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I have a question. We have like 3 different proposals out to theaters for our May 21st program that we're applying for. So do I need to, or does someone need to go to those 3 theaters and take pictures of whatever their accessibility?
Well, I mean, I would at least, since you're considering them, you're going to need to find out what they offer anyway. So, you'd probably be going there anyway to take, right? I mean, you're going to assess them, like whether they're suitable for what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to make sure. I mean, we know that some of them are public spaces, so we know they're, well, we don't use anything that's not accessible, but I just wanted to know if that was required. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would put in in the accessibility question that you're considering 3 different, spaces, and that, you're trying to find the one.
Right, but you do want pictures. So photos, you would want like a photo of the handicapped rest area, the handicapped entrance, the elevator, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we haven't been like photos are really, I know I said that photos are really more for the final report.
Okay.
So
That
yeah,
makes sense.
so I wouldn't kill yourself over the photos for this. It's just really more important that the plan and the questions are really more important. I'm sorry that I was not misleading, but misinformed you. But yeah, just, you're going to need to go assess those places. So I would definitely do that. And I would definitely, if you haven't made up your mind by the time the application's due, which, you might not, I would, definitely discuss them in your application.
Thank you.
And if you thought it was important enough to put pictures in, you have an opportunity at the end of the application. There's opportunities for you to attach any additional documents, as you know. So if you thought it was that important, you could always do that as well. Any other questions? Will we be applying with a fiscal sponsor? How do we handle board approval since we do not have a board? Caitlin, so you don't have there's no board. Oh, no, you're not right. No, yeah, you would, right. I get it. Yeah, you would just discuss that you have a fiscal sponsor, and that, and then talk about your organization is I know it's not a nonprofit. So you would discuss that, you're working with, I think you're working with, whatchamacallit, Fractured Atlas. You would, that's how you would deal with it. And if you have any, I know that sounds a little hinky. If you have any questions about it, just give me a holler on my cell, and we can discuss it. It's a good question. I can look actually at people who had fiscal sponsors in the past, but now actually you're like the first that's not a, so you're kind of a first. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, just give me a holler and we'll figure it out. Any other questions before we move on? All right, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up, let me just grab I think I got the chart. Nope, that's the guidelines. Let me pull up the chart. All right, let me get back to here. All right, share screen. Here we go. So this is the ADA plan. So it's as you can see, FY23 LAP ADA organizational plan. So on the left there are the compliance areas. So these are the things the compliance area means these are the things you should have. So ADA organizational policy, you should have an ADA coordinator, a grievance procedure, a self-assessment survey, publications, website, accessibility symbols on all publications and all marketing materials, large print publications, Braille and audio formats, assisted listening it should be assistive listening devices. I apologize. Closed captioning, audio tours, and tactile exhibits. It's 4 pages, not 3. My apologies. ADA approved font size on all labels for exhibitions, sign language interpreter, and other, and then facility accessibility. So these are the things that these are the things like that you would be self-assessing to start out with, and then these are the goals. So so the goal for ADA organizational policy is to have a plan adopted by your board. So, but if you're a new organization, you might not have that. So your current status will be where we've drafted it, but we haven't it hasn't been passed by the board yet. So the current you would put in the current status, you would put the person's responsible. If it's done, you check done. If it's and then expected date of completion. So if you expect to have it done this year, you would check this year. You would if it's expected to be in 2024, you would check 2024, or 2025 or thereafter, you would check 2025. And then you would put in the cost or resources it takes, and that might not cost anything for you. It probably wouldn't cost anything for you to enact a plan, but what are the resources you would need? Would you need to consult with somebody? Would you need, what would you need to do that? It ain't rocket science, but it's important. And one thing I should stress when you come to costs and resources, there are in the budget, it's in the application, there are line items for ADA compliance. So you should definitely, to keep that in mind. And, you should definitely include those, assuming that you'll want to have, or you do have expenses with regard to ADA compliance, and you should list them. You definitely make a point of listing them in your budget and discussing them in your budget narrative. So I'll just go through this a little bit. So your ADA coordinator, your goal is to have a coordinator. Your grievance procedure, your goal is to have it approved by the board. Your self-assessment survey is completed in areas needing improvement addressed. Programs and services, you can see accessibility statement on all publications and promotional materials. Your website, accessibility for visually and hearing impaired and those who must navigate by voice, screen readers, or other assistive technologies. So yeah, keep that in mind. Like, that's not something that folks always think of when they're thinking about LAP, because it's really, you're talking about, like, if you're going for program support, you're thinking about the programming you're going to do. If you're going for general operating support, you're thinking about your organization. But all of your organizations have websites, I'm assuming. I'd be surprised if you all didn't. And so you should be thinking about ways to improve your website to make it more accessible. And there are tools that are out there, there are tools that are out there for that. Accessibility symbols on publications and all marketing materials. So your goal would be to have accessibility symbols on your publications and marketing materials. Large print publications available on demand. Like I said, it's not necessarily something you're going to want to print up 100 of those to have, but you might want to have a couple of them on hand, or you might want to tell people, hey, listen, if please contact us if you're going to need any special accommodations. I'm not going to go through, I won't go through all this, but I mean, you could see, Braille and audio phone is available on demand, assistive listening devices available on demand, closed captioning utilized where applicable. So this is the plan. This is what the plan is. So chart, plan, I kind of use it interchangeably, but this is your plan. Any questions about the plan? It's fairly straightforward. I mean, this stuff is important. It's not, I mean, I don't want to downplay it. It's not rocket science, but it takes thought and initiative to do. So I think what we'll do is we can look at the application, and I could show you the part that pertains to ADA. So let me get that up, and here we go. All right. So this is what the application looks like. So you see, like, I'm just scrolling back. But we kind of went through this last week, or we did go through it last week, but this is what the application looks like. So, it's your organizational profile, your kind of housekeeping stuff, leader of your organization, and then it'll ask you what kind of organization you are. We don't really need to go through all this. Some housekeeping things, things you need to attach. And then, so you get to the questions. This is all deals with, this is like the main narrative. The main narrative is there. This question right here. And you have a number of questions about fundraising and earned income, outreach, marketing, multi-region impact. And then before you get to the budget, this is the section regarding Americans with Disabilities Act. So this is the question. Oh, and this says 2,000 characters. That's kind of low. I think I can change that. I will change that and make it. I will make it at least 3,000 characters. 3,000 characters is like one page, single spaced. 1,500 characters is like half a page. So 2,000 is like 3/4 a page. I will up this. So accessibility. Describe in detail your organization's accessibility plan. How it was developed. When was the last time your ADA plan was reviewed, updated, and approved by your board? And explain how your organization's programming and content is made accessible, allowing for greater participation by special needs audience or visitors. So it's pretty open-ended, but this question is just as important as your ADA plan. So the next question is about facilities. We went through the question. So you would, that's 1,500 characters. It's like half a page. And then there's a question that I alluded to but didn't read regarding digital accessibility. Has your organization taken steps to make the digital products you use accessible for people with needs that affect their ability to experience web content or digital presentations? Some examples relate to color contrast, text resizing, captioning, navigability, and ease of use on various devices. So yes, we have accessibility. The answers are yes, we use these best practices. No, we have made efforts to some extent. No, we have not. We were not aware of this need, or it's not applicable. I guess the only way it would be not applicable is if you don't have a website. So these questions are not like punitive. These are just like we're just kind of trying to get like stock of what your efforts have been to date. Really, the most important things that really tell us everything are your answers to your facilities and accessibilities questions and the chart. The main thing is that you're making an effort. It's not like, like I said, it's not that you're going to be perfect, because no one's perfect, but it's really that you're making that you're recognizing the importance of ADA, and that you're making the effort to make your programming as accessible to as many people as possible. So has your organization budgeted to provide ADA access for the programs you undertake? If your answer is no, please explain why budgeting is not required. So we know that it is necessary. So if you answered no, I would be surprised, but this gives you an opportunity for a short answer regarding ADA access, and it kind of parallels what's in your budget form and the budget narrative. Because if I were you, I would discuss in your budget narrative but your budgetary decisions you're making with regard to ADA compliance. Does your organization have a board approved policy? These are asking the question a different way. It kind of goes along with your chart with your ADA plan. Does your organization have a board policy that states it will not discriminate in the engagement for services against potential staff, volunteers, artists, or others due to disability? Yes or no? Sensitivity training. Will personnel having contact with the public in conjunction with this project or activities be provided with appropriate information and training and disability awareness and service to audiences with disabilities? Yes or no? Grievance procedure. Does your organization have a procedure for addressing grievances or complaints regarding accessibility for people with disabilities? And then lastly, this is the checklist regarding programmatic accommodations / marketing that I was talking about. So note below what programmatic accommodations your organization will make available. Symbols or other notice of these accommodations should be included in all materials promoting the event or activities. So these are the modalities I was talking about. So assistive listening devices, do you have them available? By the way, we have them. Our office has them available. We need prior notice, but if someone requests one and you need one, you can borrow them from us. They're also not crazy expensive, so it might be something you want to invest in. It looks like a walk, like for those of you who I'm aging myself, it looks kind of like a Walkman. Has a little device that hooks up with earphones, and then there's a transmitter that communicates with the little device, and it makes everything louder. So assistive listening devices, yes, you have them. Yes, with advance notice, yes, we have them. No, or it's not applicable, and that would indicate there's no sound to amplify. Sign interpretation, audio description. It's also, I don't need to explain what sign interpretation is. Everyone knows what it is. Audio description, also code video or visual description. Audio description is an additional narration track intended primarily for visually impaired consumers of visual media. Open captioning. It's basically the same thing as subtitles. tactile exhibitions. They allow understanding of the artwork through the sense of touch. Braille publications and large print publications. So these are things, these are like modalities or things that you should keep in mind. These are, these are things that will help people, more people access your programming. That's pretty much it for the my presentation. Is there any questions that anybody has? If you have questions and you don't want to ask them now, or you can't think of a question now and you want to contact me later, feel free to contact me. If there are no other questions, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to do this. It's important, and more important than attending this, but I'm glad you took the time. It shows that you care. I do also want to thank those of you, not just those of you who have been applicants in the past, because I know there's some on here that never applied, but I just want to thank you for doing the things that you do, presenting programming, bringing art to the people of Hudson County. It's really important what you do. It makes life better. Yes, I will make the PowerPoint available. I'll send it out tomorrow when I send out the links to the webinars. Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, thank you guys for what you do. It's art. I don't need to tell you, art makes life better. It's really, I can't imagine life without it. And what you do is so important in bringing it to people of Hudson County. We have a great diverse county, and we have great diverse organizations, and I'm proud to work with you and be part of all this. So I thank you. And if there are no other questions, I'll excuse class and let you get on with your evening. And thanks for attending. So really appreciate it. And like I said, any questions, feel free to give me a holler. Take care, and I'll talk to you all soon. Good luck with the application. And if you have any questions, like I said, get in touch. Thanks. Say hi, Nanette. Good to see you. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.